Hello. Hello. How's it going? I'm just being a bit silly with the good old effects. Scary, isn't it? If you're here and you're watching, say hello so I know you're watching. It's been a while since I've had a little, what do you call it? Facebook Live, YouTube Live, that sort of stuff. And I thought I would make something other than a pretty picture. Pretty pictures haven't been appealing to me much lately. That's all right. You get what, you get that. Meredith, how you going? It looks cool, doesn't it? It's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm just fucking around being silly, really. But you know what? It's good fun. And we shall. David, Robert, how you going? How you going? Life's good. I just thought I would, I'll just say between every second word. Just thought I'd talk a little bit about my upcoming workshop that's on this weekend. If anyone's, there I go again. If anyone's keen to join me, it will, all the description, in the description below, there's the booking link. You can book that. If you can't join live, you can always book and you'll get a copy of the entire workshop, the video of the entire workshop, to look back and watch at your own leisure and all of that. But I wanted to sort of touch on a few things that we're doing tonight. We're doing in the workshop. I just wanted to touch on them tonight. So, what I want to do, what's been happening for me lately, and you go through phases and things like that with your painting. That's all cool. But, like I say, pretty pictures haven't really been appealing to me too much. It's just one of those things. Firstly, guys, can you hear me okay? So can you just put a thumbs up or say yes or something like that in the comments that you can hear me? I want to make sure that I'm not just talking into thin air. But I just really like painting and art in general that has some character. Sometimes that is awesome. Thank you very much. Sometimes that is just a what do you call it? A pretty picture. Sometimes there's a lot of character in a pretty picture. Don't get me wrong. I paint plenty of them myself. But what I want to really do is embrace the darks. And yes, it's the darks as far as literally the darks when it comes to tonal values and all of that kind of thing. But I do, as much as I'm taking a piss a little bit here with the spooky, I like that. That's a really good subject matter, I think, to get into. If you're just stuck and you're looking for something fun to play with, subject matter wise, have a look at things like old Gothic churches and I don't know, graveyards and things. It's all a bit, how you going, and can sometimes be a bit kitschy. And if you're a fan of Mr. In Between, you'll know that reference again a little bit. But so it can be a bit on the nose. But they're really good shapes to play with, those older buildings and old architecture. But also try to create something with the express purpose of having people go, whoa, that's different, or that's cool, and just have fun with it. It's amazing how much you can get out of just taking something fairly benign, something fairly just ordinary and average, subject matter wise, and just imagination. We all forget about our imaginations. So turn it into something cool. If you're a fan of old horror movies or whatever, think of some of that imagery. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but a lot of horror movies you don't get scared by the boogeyman sort of thing. You get scared by the imagery, and that affects you. That being scared is an emotional response of some sort. So I'm not saying we go and create horrific pictures just for the purpose of being gory or anything. What I'm saying is just using that part of your brain to go, oh, how can I push this? How can I make it a bit more interesting? So what I would suggest is getting in touch with your imagination. I'm just going to show you a couple of things tonight that hopefully will trigger a cool thing inside your noggins, and you'll be able to have a look. So I'm just going to disappear here for a second. You'll still hear me. This is the image. This is the thing that I put up as far as the little, thumbnail for the video. But here's the picture. It's sort of it's a nothing kind of picture, really. There's not a great deal of interest to it. It's a simple composition. The building itself is pretty cool because it's old and decrepit and derelict, most likely, is probably the word I was looking for, really. But the sky is cool. We can really elevate that, and that field there is pretty cool as well. Pretty sort of a nice, vast kind of landscape. Simple, but it's a nice landscape. We'll throw a couple of figures in. What about some creepy figures just lurking? A lot of the time I see streetscapes and things where figures are supposed to just be walking along in a normal fashion, but they all look a bit zombie-like anyway. So let's just try and have a bit of fun with it, and all the while learning watercolor technique. It's really important. We're not straying away from technique. We're focusing on technique, but we're just being a bit more fun and a bit more creative about it. So without any further ado, does anybody have any questions before we get stuck in to the painting proper? This demo will probably take about an hour or so. It's not going to be a hell of a long demo, but I'm going to give it an informed demo, so I'm not going to explain absolutely everything that I'm doing, but I'm just going to give you the broad strokes, pardon the crap pun, and we'll be all right. But here is my paper and my palette, as you can see. I'm going to I'll let you know a little bit about the colours I've got here. So I'm using a couple of different things. Up there is an ivory black. Pretty cool. Just something to do. Because the thing is, traditional landscapes, you're not really going to use black too much. I don't really at all. But you mix your darks, and I'll still do a lot of that. But sometimes you just want something that's just going to go bang, and it's there. So colour-wise, I can't remember what half of this is. Neutral tint, sepia, burnt sienna, Mars red or something, I think. Yellow ochre, I don't know, some sort of yellow, warm yellow. That's dragon's blood, cool name for the colour. It's an old school colour, but it's good. It's a Mamiri blue colour. Don't know, some sort of plum, sort of crimsony sort of colour. A bright red, ultramarine, don't know. I think that's a cobalt of some sort, cobalt, blue, green, blah, blah. Usual suspects. So nothing too outlandish, but please feel free to comment away, talk to me the whole time, and I'll keep you guys informed and hopefully thoroughly entertained the whole time. So, horizon light. Pick where it is. The composition here is pretty cool. I'm just going to keep it roughly there, where it is. This building is good because it's on the side, composition-wise. Don't put things in the middle. Your rule of thirds and all of that is good. So let's have a look at it. Break down your shapes. Even with simple buildings like this, break down your shapes into their bare essentials. Yeah, something there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to put this together, pretending that it's all intact for the most part. That's about right. Very simple, little boxy looking thing. It's good. And you got to pick up on little hints along the way. So I'm looking at these things going, there's some cool little hints of things there. So this curves down, and I like that because it gives us some horizon there, some flatness, but it also gives us that opportunity to put these trees and things in the distance that are there. But having a look at behind the little shed here, there's some trees, shrubbery, whatever. Nothing too fancy. Tell me where you are. So if you are in Australia, tell me which part of the country you're in. If you're overseas, let me know where you're from. Be good to know. Yeah, I'm just putting in a couple of hints of this sort of deterioration on the building. Now, I reckon. So this is just a shed, right? But I'm just going to put a window there that's not boarded up, like not boarded up with the corrugated iron. And we'll do something like that there. It is. That's fine. Now, I'm going to draw in a couple of figures somewhere. Don't know where exactly yet. I'm just having a think. But get the basic things there. Always think of your figures in proportion to objects that you know the rough height of. Okay, so good way to think about it is we are going to think of a, this shed and go, well, say there was a door here somewhere. How, the average person, what sort of height would they be standing at? So I want that bit there. So I'm going to we'll put them around there somewhere. And, nothing too fancy. But there's a figure. One or two maybe. We could even, we could even give the impression of a hill. We'll see how that goes. We'll just put one figure in there in the drawing phase. South Australia, good stuff. I've only been to Adelaide once. It was really good. It's for a workshop. All right. Now for something completely different. We turn the upside down, and let's do something wacky. Not just for the sake of it. Well, it kind of is, I suppose, but let's stick with the creepy, spooky theme. Why not? Let's go with a bit of water. Yeah, I'm just thinking along here. So, horizon. So this brush has obviously got some sort of something in it from earlier. That's fine. Alright, just a bit of water. Like, it's fairly saturated when it's where it's at, but it's not everywhere. Let's do something silly. Why not? Life's short. You only live once and all that sort of crap. Let's do it. Now, this is not the sky that you're seeing on the reference photo, of course, in the reference photo. But what I'm doing is just, with this underneath wash, I'm giving myself a bit of a head start with some of the craziness. That's all. Why not? It's going to be a cloud colour. So let's go into some greys. Why not? See how I'm just getting all the crap from the corners of the palette. I don't care too much about the beauty of things at the moment. I'm literally just wanting to get things on the page. In this sky area, this is all I'm doing. I'm not going to mess with the sky too much. I'm just giving it a bit of character by making it a funky colour. And put some cloud shapes in there. And we'll see how it turns out. It might be a complete disaster for all I know. Don't care. It doesn't matter. It's just painting for the sake of painting. Using our imaginations. Look at that. Bit of crazy neutral tint. Spray. Around. It's too much neutral tint there, but that's okay. I just want to get a bit of it flowing. What I can do, have a bit flow that way. See, water, it's watercolour. Water is your friend, mate. Is your friend. Now, all a bit silly, potentially. You would think I was being stupid. But I know where I'm heading. So in my own noggin, I know where I want things to go from here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dry this off with a good old fashioned hairdryer, and I will then proceed with the rest of it. I'm torn as to whether to put any more cloud shapes in. I think that's enough. I don't want to make it too busy. But here we go. I'll just mute the microphone so you can't hear this thing. Right. So you'll see on the camera just how much that's lightened up. Now I just want to pick up the cauliflowers through. Cauliflowers are fine. Don't stress about them. A lot of people stress about them. They're good. This is watercolour. That's what happens. It's water and pigment moves around and gets stuck. Part of the board. And it's good. It just makes marks that you can't make with a brush. That's it. Alright. So, we've got a fairly dramatic looking sky. So, that's alright. Let's think about a fairly dramatic looking grassed area. Now, always watch that you're not going to get any backgrounds though. They will suck. Always be thinking about complementary colours. I think that's a good habit to get into. So if you think of reddish, you'd be thinking of green as a direct complementary. So reddish, greenish, that'll be okay. What I'm going to do, I don't have any funky greens around, so just going to get this yellow, this warm yellow here. See what I can do. That's probably not going to be bright enough, but that's all right. What I'm picturing is something a little bit brighter than that, but that's okay. What I'm going to do, let's put a bit of turquoise or something in there. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's not green enough. It's not green enough. So what I'll do, so just put some water. But what do I do here? I go, righto, I've got this sort of yellow here now. It actually looks okay. But I want it green. So what do? Oh no, I freak out and I wash it off and I start colouring in with other colours. Just get some blues and stuff and put in there. Different kind of thing. So, you know, blue and yellow, green. Shocking, right? Think a bit more laterally. You know, that's a silly colour there. That blue on its own, that sort of, I don't know what colour it is. I think it might be like a phthalo-y type blue. It's terrible. But what we do is we just muck around until we get something that we're happy with, which is not there. So, what have I got? I can find something. I'm just looking at different colours. No, not that one. I need like a lemon yellowy type colour. Okay, what's this? Hansa yellow light. I reckon it'll work. Let's do something like that. Probably should have used that in the first place, but that's okay. We're painting, we're having fun. Right, a lot of pigment there, but I plan to wash a lot of it out. I'm just sort of getting some of it. That's more the colour that I was looking for, that sort of limey kind of green. But I plan to wash a fair bit of it out in a second. Because I don't want to make it too strong, because I'll lose the light in the picture. So I want lots of light on this part of the picture. Because we've got dramatic and some nice shadows and all of that. So, best way to do this, drop a bit of stuff there. That's fine. Turn it up. Just water on the brush. It's cool. Wash it out a bit. And it'll leave us, once it dries, it'll leave us with a bit of sort of a brighter kind of green. That's good. Let's go down here. Again. We're looking crazy colours right now. Crazy colours. You can do all of this stuff with colour now, but when it comes to the shadows and the tones and things that we'll muck around with soon, that's when you've got to, you know, get a bit more serious. Because right now, tonal values are not there. Well, except for that bit in the sky, but that's done, that's complete. Down here, it's just about some colour. Let's even do a silly colour down here. Let's go a bit of purple. Purple's a good colour just to mix in with heaps of stuff. It's a good neutralising kind of colour. It'll barely be there. You'll probably won't see that later on. That's okay. Yeah, nice. Happy. See, I'm envisaging, I hate saying that word, it always sounds wrong, but I'm picturing this being quite light, but having some real dark, these trees at the distance, at the horizon, having some darkness, you know, some really strong stuff going on there. And then with this bit, we got some shadows and figures and all sorts of kind of stuff. So should be good once it's all dried off. And you might be thinking I'm a bit crazy, a bit stupid right now, but we'll see if that holds true. Dry. Like once again, stop me with any questions or comments along the way. But what I'm thinking, I'm going to start. So, what I'm always thinking when I'm painting is trying to think a couple of steps ahead. You know, what's coming up. If you don't do that, I think you can get bogged down in certain areas too quickly, and too much. Like areas that don't need bogging, if you know what I mean. So you get stuck on backgrounds and things, and it's just ends up being a fool's errand. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just zap in the background stuff pretty quickly and sort of leave it alone. I'm talking about the distant trees, and I might make this. I sort of lost a bit of that orangey colour there. I'll just reiterate that. But actually what I'll do is I'll leave that blank, but I'll put some lines on here to indicate the crops and things that are there. But we'll do that and then kind of leave it alone a little bit from there. Let's have a squeeze. What have we got? We need something quite dark here. So I'm going for ultramarine burnt sienna. Ooh, there's plenty of water on my palette. I don't need to go into the bucket. So this is for those sort of distant trees and things that I'm looking at there. So it's fairly thick paint. You know, I'm not anticipating having to thicken the paint up any here. I want to just get them on nice and quick. And this is distant stuff, so it's literally just, you know, nice pointy brush, just little bits. You know, they don't make them all the same height, don't make them all the same shape, vary things. This is where your brushwork comes in handy, and you hopefully develop your own. Well, it's already there. You've just got to concentrate on it. Your own calligraphy that comes out with, well, you know, practice. It's not rocket science. So there's a stretch there that's pretty cool, but you can't just put a big straight line of something. You've got to move it around a bit. And I'm using pretty much the same kind of colour throughout. I haven't added to it because it's distant. It doesn't vary too much in its tone. It's just going to sit there. That is a bit too, you know, Ayers Rock looking. So let's get a bit of shape in there. Then these little highlighty bits have ended up on my page. Use those sort of little accidents to your advantage. Whatever you do. That's cool. That will be cool. That's already like that. It's already starting to give that a bit of drama, which I like. So, all right. Need a bit of a stronger green here. Maybe not that strong. It's got to be a bit more natural than that. Just grey it down a bit. Yeah, that sort of thing. It's fairly thin paint, probably coffee, milky consistency. But what I want to do, there's not heaps of it on the brush, but just like, kind of like in street scenes when you have perspective lines and all those sort of things. But this actually serves a purpose for that, but it also indicates the crop marks and stuff there. So I'll just sort of use that as a bit of a guide there, and then I'll embellish them so they don't look so silly. Right, so obviously looks silly, but what we do is you just follow these guidelines and leave some gaps, basically. It's not, dare I say, not rocket science, this bit. Trust yourself to do these things. Don't worry, it's a bit of paper, it's a bit of paint, and Who cares? If it messes up, don't worry about it. I don't care if this ends up shit. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Just painting. Too many people get worried about, thinking every painting they do is going to be their masterpiece. It doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. You just paint, see what happens. The most important thing is you do it. That's what actually, surprise the bloody prize, makes you better. Practice. I know. Genius thought, right? Alright, cool. So I'm sitting back and squinting my eyes a bit there. Yeah, there's a few little areas. You can see I've sort of gone into a bit of different colour here and there. A bit of dry brush. But I'm looking at that and it's doing its job. And I like how, in fact I might try and steal a bit of that. I like how that softened up there. It's just that there was a bit of water sitting up there. So just going to soften up a couple more lines. See if we can get a few more little effects going. That's cool. And I'll sort of leave it as it is there now, I reckon, because it's got the appearance and the illusion of heading uphill as well. Downhill, depending which way you're looking at it, obviously. So, happy with that. That's cool. Over here, I don't care too much because I'm going to embellish this tree behind the building. So, I don't care about that. Doesn't matter. Let's have a look here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I reckon, I'm just trying to think. So this rooftop, these tiles, yeah, I'm just trying to think of, orange would be nice there, a bit of grey. I think colour scheme wise it's okay. I've just got to be careful to make the orangey colour quite different to the sky. So I don't want to use the dragon's blood. I'll use something else. I don't know. We'll see. But I want a bit of grey. So I'm just going back into this colour here that I had, if you can see it on the palette, which is what I used to do the trees there. But I'm just adding water to it. So surprise, surprise, more white paper shows through at the end. So it gives the appearance of being lighter in value. So it's more water, less pigment, basically. Getting that there. So all this stuff will be embellished. All the, there'll be darkness on the ground at the bottom of the building to sit it down. That's always good. Let's get a bit of this sort of stuff. I'm going to do this window here, nice and dark, so that'll be cool. And these slats, the palings, weatherboards, timber, whatever you want to call it, that's going to have to be put in there with a bit of dry brush later on, but we've always got to follow the perspective lines. And I don't know, I just think I want to just embellish something there. I don't know what it is. Just make it up. I don't know what it is. It could be a little box or an old tank or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But it's just something to extend and join into the building. But up here is going to be the trees and things. So we're all looking good. Happy with that. Now, while this is wet, this building area, this is when you can get some different textures and things going on. So let's have a look. It's still quite wet, but that's okay. We just if we thicken the paint up a bit, it'll stay put a bit more, and we get some. See, up here's dried a bit more already, so that's a little bit more solid. Doesn't move around as much. Ooh, what's that? Some dodgy paint stuff going on. That's all right. We're okay. Good thing about crappy old buildings is that, well, they're crappy old buildings. You don't need to get them right, so to speak. You don't need to make them pretty. It's all about texture and mood and things. Okay, so just get that there. Now I will just get in a bit of these missing tiles and things. I like that. I like that pattern that's sort of formed naturally. I think it's pretty nice. Right. So at this point, we're still looking at drying things off and starting fresh. It's all still too damp to really go in and do much else to it. But we've got some foundations there. That's the thing. Foundations, couple steps ahead, all of that. So I'll dry off and I shall be back. Won't be long. Hit me with questions, you boring bastards. Alright. Okie doke. So we're getting through it. Now I want to do this tile area. So burnt sienna, just a burnt orangey sort of colour. Now there's not a hell of a lot of paint on the brush here. It's not too thick, the paint itself, but it's not heaps of it on the brush. So, and I've just got this little square brush I really like. It's just good for doing little bits like this that are just indications, really, and good for brickwork and stuff like that. Little square brushes. So don't ever discount the value of a square brush. That's for sure. I know a lot of watercolourists seem to steer clear of them, and that's fine. That's cool. Whatever you're into. I really like them sometimes. Just give them a crack. That's all I ask. So, yeah, bit dodge. It's all good. We're getting there. Still in a bit of dodgy land, but that's all right. We now go in with some darks. Not much of it on the brush, and just going to indicate a few horizontals as well, and it gives the impression of something being there, some sort of shape and form. But don't really try not to paint, parallel lines everywhere, complete neat and tidy lines. This is an old shitty building. You don't want that. You want something a bit more rustic. Put a bit of green, some silly colour, just to break it up. And the more you do this sort of thing, the more it ends up looking a bit more. Look, realistic's not the right word, I don't think, but it's a bit more interesting, just a bit less shit. You know what I mean? I can't think of another way to put it. It's just more interesting. But let's have a look, and just try not to ever use complete, neat and tidy lines. That's the worst thing you can do, because everything ends up looking outlined, which is definitely not what you want. So I'm just putting a few indicators of form there. See, it's just dry brush, there's barely any paint on the brush. So just sort of give us that indication. So let's establish a couple of little edges. Well, this might be a fairly, well, I don't want to think of it as boring, but I think just a fairly mundane sort of picture. But the end result, I'm hoping, when I get the shadows and things going, I hope it'll be fairly dramatic because of the unusual sky, I suppose, and the shadows, and just the general interest around it. Hopefully, that might suck. Like I said, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that will disappear. Yes. I'm just painting straight over where the figure's going to be. That's fine. I don't care about that because it'll be okay. It'll disappear basically. It's fine. Right, so that figure's going to be there. That's cool. Let's just put that figure in. Got fairly thick paint now. Let's give him a friend. Walking zombies, whatever they are. Maybe they're about to set the place on fire. Maybe we give them a bucket or a can of petrol or something. Alright, so doesn't look like anything, right? That's okay. It's just a couple of shadowy sort of figures there. Bit of that. Not too much exciting, but it's exciting enough that we're starting to get somewhere. Now, what I'm hoping now is by getting some darks, I'm going to make something of this tree area here. So I'm going to sort of cut that building in, the roof. Yeah. Pointy brush again. I'm just getting that going. Right, looks heaps like a tree, right? No, what I mean is here we go. So you get your brush, move your fingers, your hand back to the end of the brush, toward the end of the brush, and you start moving quickly, just throwing it around, do some, brushy tree type marks. I don't care about the finesse and the what do you call it? The carefulness. I think that's a bad word. The care factor. I don't care in this particular demonstration because all I'm doing is I want this bloody atmosphere and this mood, and I'll get it if it kills me. So I've got all that. I've got this little bit. Yeah, look, here's a little highlight there. Let's put a kid. So kids in perspective, smaller. Their heads are bigger compared to the size of their body. But that kid looks a bit shit. So all I do is just that. Get rid of it. Doesn't matter. See, that's what happens when you're painting. It's a good thing that you're flying by the seat of your pants sometimes. I've never painted this scene once in my life. I have no idea. I've never looked at it before the other day. But it's interesting because you can start working your way through. Once again, I have no preconceived expectations of how I want this piece to be. This is just being free. I hate sounding like a dickhead, but having the freedom to just sit there and go, well, shit, I'm just going to paint and see what happens. Because it's not, this is not going to end up in a frigging gallery or probably won't even end up in anyone's house. But the experience, if I enjoy it, or if you, or whatever picture you're painting, if you enjoy painting that picture enough at that to want to do it again and go through it, and you'll be 10 times better because you've done it before. Shocking, right? So you've got to give yourself that little bit of freedom. Now, alright, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to dry it off because I just want to have a think about things, scratch out something. There you go. But let's have a look. Okie dokie. Alright, so I was just thinking about that as I was drying it off, and I think I know what I'm going to do. Being that we're looking at painting with some darks and some intensity and trying to get some mood and, not concentrating on pretty pictures, what I want to do is, I reckon the sky, the ground here, the green grass and all that, fine, not going to touch it. What I want to do though, because this is nice and light, this is pretty light too, as well. I want to get some shadowing from the trees up here, get some nice shadows on both sides of the building. Strong cast shadows here. Try to make this whole area quite dark, quite strong, and just see how it turns out. Just see how it goes. and I reckon it'll be okay because we've got lots of light. That's the thing you've got to remember when you're painting funky things and you're experimenting and you're wanting to push your normal style a bit. Got to remember, darks are great, but you know what? Without the light, there is no dark, of course. So you've still got to maintain some light in your picture for it to work. So just pictures where it's just dark, it's just doesn't work. So I'm going in here, leaving a couple of little bits. Now we'll just indicate a few shadows being cast over there, that, these little bits, all fine. Now this is quite strong, this dark that I've got here, but I'm going to, and I want it that way. You can see already how it's making, just the tonal difference there is making that middle ground stand out. Make it pop, as the cool kids say. I don't like saying that. It sounds silly. But that's right. Well, shit tons of paint, that's okay. So let's get that nice and dark. So what I'm going to do, right, our figures have disappeared, that's good, they'll come back. This is all about experimenting, all about finding cool things to do, different ways of, skinning a cat, filleting a fish, skinning a fish, skinning a cat, I don't know, whatever. Different ways of approaching painting. That's all I'm talking about. It's just different things. Bit of water, let that trickle down. Little brush, let that. Just pretend you've had a hard night on the terps and you got a bit of the shakes in the morning after your bacon and egg McMuffin. Look, not much going on there, that's all fine. Just couple of things I just want to, that looks a bit curved, which I don't like. Let's do something up here. There you go. Look, instant religious iconography. It's instantly scarier. I'm still getting some drips going. Oop. Shit, that's a lot of paint. Get a couple of drips. A couple of drips walking along here. Spray. Why not? You just want something to break up the edge, that's all. Just so it's not such a defined edge there. So, same again here, I'm going to dry it off, see how it heads, see how it's looking then, and then just come in and put a few details and highlights and things on it. Dare I say some cliched crows and shit like that flying around. But won't be long. No. Cool. Right. I'm looking forward to taking the tape off here so that the border's really going to give it a nice lift. But that's okay. We're good. We are about to do some sort of dark highlights, I suppose, if that's a term to use. I don't think it is, but dark accents, maybe. Let's try that. Bit of just a black. I just want to stick with that black, and there's a bit of neutral tint here. Quite thick on the brush. We're talking creamy to buttery consistency. Just really wanting to get some different bits of calligraphy and things on here that just sort of give it a bit of a lift. There's a bird there. And if you've got any little funky bits in your skies that haven't worked out as you would have liked, that's where you just whack your birds in there. It's good. It's a nice little way, just a couple of, fence posts and things. But it's not for any other purpose than just to indicate a little bit of that distance there, I think. And that height, and we're looking down a little bit. But we're looking at, spooky cliches here, 101. I don't know why Australians say 101, doesn't mean anything. But it's, but yeah, it's just elementary, rudimentary, sort of spooky stuff. But they're good little devices to get our eyes wandering through a bit more. That's all. Our figures are definitely going to come to life in a minute, but I just want to get that, look at there, and that sort of thing there. Okay. Alright. So, got lots of darks. That's all fine. What I do want to do is... good morning, Judy. Wow, 5 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? Go back to bed, you crazy. Nah, it's good. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Almost sorted, but this will of course remain on the YouTube channel to watch at your leisure whenever you want to. So I don't know what any of this stuff is. I'm just sort of embellishing little marks to, just give it a little bit more interest. I like to, at this point, look at things like coloured accents. Not too much going on. I don't want it to look crazy colourful, but I do like the idea of my figures wearing matching hats. They look a little bit like they're in Warriors there, I think. But that's alright, we'll put some highlights, it should be okay. And something else red there, I don't know what that is, but that's okay. Couple of little highlights here and there, not much. This is just that Jaune Brilliant colour, which is kind of like a creamy yellow. It's quite opaque, so it's good for highlights when you don't want it just white, but I sort of tend to use white as well as this these days. It's just gives it a bit more of a a bit more flair, I think. Speaking of flair, I think I just put a fire in there accidentally. That's okay. It's life, mate. Alright, now, a couple of little white highlights. Figures. Like I said, I think they're going to deliver the good news. Yeah, I'm going to do something here. Right, so the workshop that I'm giving this coming weekend is, it's a lot more considered in this picture. This is a demo, just mucking around, throwing some paint around, but following the same kind of principles. Not necessarily make things spooky or anything like that. It's just about pushing the boundaries. Whenever I see people, myself included, painting pretty poorly, it's usually the tones are just not there, just too insipid, or there's no variation in the tones. They've gone too heavy and too scratchy and too strong, and there's no light, there's no relief. But it's usually the opposite. It's usually that people are just too light and too hesitant and timid with the medium. But with any medium, you've got to be strong. You've got to have those darks there in order for the lights to work. So what we'll be focusing on is a couple of pictures that look. There's an industrial scene that's got really gritty, some nice granulation, things like that in there, and there's also a street scene, which is sort of a stereotypical European, Italian actually street scene, but we're going to really push the shadows, push the lights, and get some actual mood and atmosphere. It's lost again. It came good for a while there, but there's the mood and the atmosphere is getting lost again in painting, in watercolor especially. I don't know what it's come down to. I think it's just ebbing and flowing. But I'm just going to dry this off and take the tape off and give you guys a better look. I just thought of something funny I should do. By the way, if this when I take this tape off, if you absolutely must have it, it will be for sale. So just let me know. But I just thought of this. I thought it'd be quite funny. Let's do that, and let's do that. Just a sickle or something. That sort of gets lost a bit there because it joins up. That's okay. There you go, that's a bit better. Oh god, I'm funny. No, cool. It's a silly painting, but as far as being spooky and all of that sort of stuff, I'm not trying to make fun of the processes or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is just trying to get people to think outside the box a bit and use their imagination. No one uses their imagination anymore when you're painting. everyone just tries to copy everything and make it look exact and all that stuff. But which is fine if that's what you're into. But yeah, it's not for me. Let's have a look. Do you know what? Like, aside from a couple of funny little ideas and passages in that picture, and look, it's just a boxy little building. That's fine. But aside from the basic nature of that, it actually works pretty well as far as the tonal value goes. Let's change it to black and white and see what it does. There you go. It's still pretty. It's pretty crook, pretty dark. But that the orangey and the greeny sort of colours look really nice together, and this is all nice and strong down here. So yeah, that's that workshop. If you're interested in it, the booking link is in the description of this video. That's if you're watching this prior to the workshop itself, of course, because if it's already happened, you won't be able to join in. But having said that, if you can't make it live and you do want to participate, you can book, and I'll send you a copy of the video for you to watch as many times as you like after that. But has anyone got any questions before I head off and let you guys get about your night there? Don't all answer at once, like, freaking out with all the attention. Okay. So, here's my silly little thing that I had on earlier. Yes, but there we go. It's quite a nice little painting. I don't mind it. It's one of those things. There's a lot of dark paint there, so once that dries properly, like properly, and settles down, it'll actually chill out a bit, I think. But no worries, Meredith. Thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you guys again soon. I'll set up another one of these quite soon, I reckon. It's good fun to come in once in a while, and I'll take it a step further and do something a bit more intricate and just a bit tighter. So you've got to get loose and you've got to get tight. You've got to get loose, but you've got to have little bits of both. So we can concentrate on some other stuff. But no, thank you very much. And if you're keen on that workshop, just hit me up and I'll see you guys on the weekend. But otherwise, thank you. Share alike. Make sure you're subscribed and all that sort of stuff. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye.